flyer that was made, we are wanting tonight to talk about intentional communities and what we feel is the important role that they play as a solution to some of the problems of today. They present an example of cooperation, harmonious living, shared resources, and satisfying relationships. These are some of the things that have been gradually slipping away from our society so much as we rush pell-mell after the almighty dollar. There is much confusion today and about how to live wisely in the world. And cooperative communities, although there aren't very many of them, and they're still very much below the mainstream, below the horizon of the media, they are important laboratories for testing grounds of new ways of living, of coming together, of learning to care for each other, of creating a new, better way of living. Communities are not new. They go back at least to the times of Jesus, and there were many intentional communities known as monasteries for many hundreds of years where people would gather together for the purpose of supporting each other in communities that were very specifically focused. As the 1800s and 1900s came along, there were a lot of utopian experiments from people who even at that time were recognizing that the stresses and depersonalization of the Industrial Revolution was such that people joining together could create a better life with themselves and for themselves than was available in the times there. There were a lot of communities started. Not too many of them are still around today, very few. And then in the 1940s, my own life in particular, when I first read the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, it changed my life, and I moved from the East Coast to the West Coast to join a community called Ananda that was followers of Paramahansa Yogananda, great teacher of India, great teacher of yoga from India. And even back in the 1940s and 1950s, he was encouraging his followers to join together in what he called World Brotherhood colonies to demonstrate that this was a way of life that could lead to high ideals and simple living. And in the 60s, of course, there was a tremendous outgrowth of communities and all sorts of group living situations. Many of these communities have not survived to the present day, but all of them have contributed to this wave of experiment of finding alternatives to suburbia and us four and no more family lifestyles. I'm often reminded of the example of when it first snows in the fall, the early winter, and the ground is warm, and the first snowflakes fall and they all melt. But as they melt, they help cool the ground, and eventually more snowflakes come, and they begin to stay, and pretty soon the ground is white. And that's, I think, what many of the communities that have been started in the past and are around today. It's part of a new wave that bodes well, I think, for the future. Even if the numbers are still small, there'll be more coming as more and more people seek alternatives. The organization that we essentially represent this evening is NICA, the Northwest Intentional Communities Association. And it's a group of communities, an organization of communities in the Northwest. There are over 100 intentional communities just in the greater Puget Sound area and more in BC and Oregon. And NICA is one of the largest. It is the largest. It's actually the only regional group of co-ops in the country. There's an organization called the Fellowship of Intentional Communities, which is a national organization. NICA has a couple of websites, one of which links to the website of FIC, as it's called, the Fellowship of Intentional, the national website, which has a database listing of over 1,700 intentional communities in this country and worldwide. And more people are wanting to get connected with communities in their area. FIC and NICA play a role, we'd like to think, in helping that to take place. We have in the back there a book table with some copies of Communities magazine put out by the National FIC, as well as some books on co-housing and other types of community subjects that are for sale, and there are also sample copies. We have a brochure, and we have a mailing list that's going around for our email signups, which is what we use to let people know of other NICA events. We have a couple of gatherings a year in the spring and fall where people come together, usually at one of the, always at one of the local communities. And we have gatherings like this and a few other things throughout the year that we let people know about. Tonight we have representatives of 4 intentional communities. And I'd like to introduce Sid Fredrickson, who will be our facilitator for this evening, who will introduce our panel.
Oh, well, all right. I thought you were going to hold up the video.
Yes. Sorry. One more thing. I wanted to give a little plug for this DVD. A man named Jeff Crosney, who's no longer in the body, he spent a very significant number of years traveling around the country and visiting intentional communities all over. He visited over 300 intentional communities, staying for several days at least, and quite a while in some of them, and filmed and interviewed, and he put together 2 DVDs. We sell both of them. They're $20 each. They're in the back. Each one of them has pictures and footage and interviews with about 8 or 10 communities. And you can see the list on the back, and it's quite a variety. For me, I've just been very inspired seeing the variety of communities that are displayed here and being impressed with his thought that although he lived in many communities before he started on his tour, he said he sort of had a good idea of what ideas worked well for communities and what didn't work so well. But after seeing so many communities, he said, I give my testimony that any form, any structure, any type of community can work if its people have goodwill and want it to work. And he shows that by the variety that he outlines in his DVDs. Thank you.
So thanks, everyone, for joining us. The different communities are represented by Vincent Whitworth on this end. He's joining us from the Sherwood Co-op, and which is right in this neighborhood. Some of you may know. It's sort of university student-based for a long time, but also includes non-students. The next friends to my right are Kathy and Bill Sellers from Jackson Place Co-housing. And that is down in the Rainier, Dearborn area. They'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. To my left, Larry Ryder, who was just speaking from Ananda Community. And then Rose and Jonathan Betzel, and they are joining us from Bright Morning Star, which is in Greenwood, or Seattle.